to Grounding Your Village course. We know that beginning a community could be a huge undertaking, and yet an amazing opportunity to create new businesses, building security, and lifelong connection. We started this journey, or this class, because we want to provide practical steps to realize your journey of a lifetime. So why this class? Well, my name is Leonie Bryan and I'll go by Lilia. I grew up in a thriving community based in Quebec, Canada, and I helped to establish its sister community in New Hampshire in 2003. I was the face of the community for many years. I was working with interns, students, visitors, and local officials. I was also the lead of the Eco-Village Institute, an educational nonprofit that was providing different educational programs and events.
Hello, my name's Chloe Bazada, and I am Lilia's business partner and lifelong partner. We're really excited to bring you this course, and we both have a lot to share as far as our backgrounds. So previous to meeting Lilia, I was the Austin Permaculture Guild co-director, where I helped with the grassroots movement, communication, strategy, and really creating a foundational network in the Austin, Texas community. I also have been a strategist for eco-villages, so consulting with people and really helping them find their mission, vision, values, and goal-oriented steps. I also was the Global Eco-Village Network Coordinator of North America, and that's also how we met each other, through the Global Eco-Village Network. And through all of these routes, I've worked with a lot of elders and people that have really started this eco-village and eco-movement in the U.S. So it's dating back from the 70s to the 90s and of course now. Through Whole Systems Network, our nonprofit, and the Grounding Your Village course, as well as a lot of other educational courses and educational events, we've helped hundreds of people learn about community and start their own journey.
So by taking that class and by wanting to create or joining a community, you'll become a change maker. That will automatically become an innovator of grassroots initiative. You will also promote and create models of regenerative culture. You will definitely inspire so many people that wants to either follow your steps or create their own. You will experiment, learn, and teach to others different, like thriving social, economic, and ecological ways. And by then, definitely connect and promote that global solidarity and cooperation movement.
So part of what we wanted to bring to you today is not only telling you about the Global Eco-Village movement and who we are, but also give you inspiration so that you really want to feel engaged in this larger movement and find the ways that you can create practical steps and solutions. That's what this whole course is about. We started with earthships. This is something that's my passion, and from my early 20s I've traveled around the world looking for these structures and finding ways for myself and my partner to build them. One day we'll have our own. Earthships, if you haven't heard of them, they are using reusable materials such as tires and bottles and even cans, and creating these amazing adobe structures or cob structures. It really depends on what area that you're living in or you're wanting to build these structures. It also uses solar panels and passive solar, so making sure a lot of sun is coming in and through the house, a lot of air and ventilation. And what's so spectacular about it is that it's also reusing water systems, so all of the waters that you're washing dishes, your hands, or even taking a shower goes into the greenhouse that's in this front side, as you can see right here. So, these are really amazing structures. They're durable to earthquakes, they're fire resistant, tornado resistant. If a tree falls on it, it's probably going to be okay. There might be a lot less damage than any other structure. And it's something that, I love talking about because it's so inspiring, but also it's kind of what we need in our future. Not only earthships, but other earthen homes and structures. I definitely recommend, if you're interested in this, to research a little bit more about earthen structures.
I do think also that the earthship is representing well the whole system, because it's really a system that it will integrate every little part of what we need to make it sustainable.
Eco-villages. So this, of course, is another favorite topic of ours. And as you can see in this picture, it's displaying, what can be a part of an eco-village. And of course, in this course, we'll be going over so many aspects of what an eco-village can be. But just so you can see, a temple of nature, some sacred ceremonies, shamanic art, off-grid living, food forests, women's circles, organic building. So again, these are just aspects to this specific community. Actually, this one was in Denmark. But just in general, eco-villages are amazing spaces that can really co-create whatever your group's dream can be, and it's more about perpetuating the eco-harmony of the earth and humans living in it. And so these can be thriving systems of 10 people, 20 people, or even 1,000 people living together for all sorts of different reasons. And as you can see, Robert Gilman, who is someone that is an elder and we have worked with, he defined in 1991, eco-villages are human-scale, full-featured settlements in which human activities are harmlessly integrating into the natural world in a way that is supportive of healthy human development and can be successfully continued into the indefinite future. Transition towns are very exciting and can be very different from earthships and eco-villages. Some eco-villages can be urban, but transition towns really focus on the urban element. This particular picture is actually more solar punk, but it really gives you that urban feel of how you can be self-sufficient and really integrational with nature, even though you're living in a full-fledgling city. This doesn't actually exist, but there is similar ones. If you look in China and Japan, they've really got that look down. It's pretty inspirational. So with the transition town movement, it's really caught wildfire across the world, and what's most interesting is that it's very community oriented. It's usually 1,000 people or less, and it really gives you that village feeling going back in time, but it does integrate a lot of what we have now, but the focus is really going back to the 90% of being local and sourcing things locally within your township or close by. There's also a lot of reskilling and blacksmithing, different sewing, or different techniques that we have really lost, and it's very anti-corporation and bringing back that local economy. So transition towns, earthships, and eco-villages are all very inspirational things that are happening in our world. There's so many more things, and we're so excited to share about that. However, only 10% of communities in these types of projects succeed. So what we're going to do today is go over the problems, the solutions, or the foundational pillars of success in community, and then we'll go over our course curriculum. The problems. So this is really talking about if you're trying to form an intentional community or a very intentional project with a group of people, these are the types of problems that will occur. The first one is hours of confusing meetings without containers. And what that really means is that you really don't have the training or skills necessary in your group to be able to hold meetings with specific outlines. People are really getting frustrated and distracted. They're not sure where the meeting's going to go. the meeting ends up lasting so much longer than you want. And I know I'm preaching to the choir right now. I'm sure all of you have been through these types of meetings, and you just want it to end. The person that's loudest often wins, meaning that, there's always one person that really wants to be heard. They might talk over other people because, again, there's not that container, that structure for the meeting to happen, and you're not really able to hear from everyone. The second common problem is conflict leads to dissolution. So what we're saying there is that the problems might occur in these confusing meetings. It might happen just organically as you're starting to live and be in closer proximity with each other. Whatever type of conflicts occurring, ultimately that's going to lead to the dissolution of your community, your project, your friendships and relationships with each other. And so those types of conflicts really happen from root things such as forming governance, not having community agreements, and really not spending enough time talking about what you wanted from the get-go. The third is one owner promising to be benevolent dictators. So you were promised to live on a piece of land with a group of people, or you had one friend who was like, I'd really love for us all to live together. I already have this piece of land, or my dad already had this piece of land, or my distant aunt. Why don't we all go live on this property together? So when people might move on to someone's land that's already owned and the other people don't have ownership, there could be a lot of different things that happen that can end up being a huge conflict and problem within the community. One thing is that the person that feels the most ownership, they may feel like they have the most responsibilities on them, so not asking other people to participate enough because they're afraid of what can happen on that property. They may also, the people that are living there, they may not feel a sense of ownership, so they might want to leave, or they might get frustrated with this benevolent dictator telling them what to do. And ultimately what happens is the people that are living on the land, they may get frustrated with the owner might get frustrated with them, and it ultimately ends in this dissolution. So I know this is a really common occurrence where there's one person that owns land and then the other people move there thinking like, oh, this is gonna all work out, or maybe we'll buy in, but oftentimes it just doesn't work out that way. And oftentimes you really need to go in buying the land together, or learning about really clear agreements and protocols. The fourth one is children and values. So what we're really trying to get at there is that sometimes you can live really well for many years just cohabitating with each other, living on houses on a piece of land, saying hi to each other. But as soon as multiple children are becoming in the mix, or you're trying to achieve something greater and you have multiple children there, you might want to homeschool them. And as soon as that piece starts forming, you're really being charged in ways that you weren't previously, where you might have higher expectations for your child, or you might want to instill values that are more part of your family and your background, and you get a lot more structured when that comes into place. Maybe you were doing marijuana or just drinking more casually on site. Well, that's not the case, obviously, when children are around. So really, when you get into this situation, you also might start talking about dietary restrictions. Some people that are vegan versus their friends are more into hunting and survival. There's, as you can imagine, just a lot of chaos that's forming from kids being on site. And lastly, that number one issue always comes back to assumptions and the unclarity of common vision and values. And that's what all of these other problems are, and that's what we believe to really be the stem and the foundation of your community. If you're not taking that time and you're really just assuming that your values are the same as other people, and you've really just talked really vaguely about the vision, but you're not getting into the nitty-gritty, your community will fail. And so what we really want to have happen here is to make sure that the 10% of communities succeed, and that you are able to avoid all of the pitfalls.
So by taking our class, we want to provide you the 4 pillars of a successful community. So first, we want to help you to build community agreements, because that's a key. When you have clear agreements that you take the time with your community members to create together, you will most likely have less conflict. You will still have conflict, but you will have the protocol and the way to solve your conflict together, and the agreement for all your members. We will help you to find a set governance system or model that you will use along your journey. So how are you making your decision? Who is allowed to make decision? Who is in charge? Who is taking responsibility for those decisions that has been made? Also, like Chloe was sharing, how to set your value as a collective is so important. And this is the foundational block of your whole program, of your whole project and your whole community. So when you are able to really not base your community on assumption, but really putting out there your values, and you can agree as a group which one you want to put your energy on and follow, you will create your collective vision, and that will be the glue of your group. And also, we want to help you to create solid collective ownership models that will support your group in many different ways. Could be for your land purchase to your creating your bylaw and have really clear agreement and written document.
So these 4 pillars are really necessary, and this is the formula we've really created working with groups of people and living in our own community experience. So we find that these are the most influential pillars that you can have and be educated in and implement within your community. Here is our Grounding Your Village website, and we wanted to go over the 10 keys of the curriculum with you so that you have more details for the rest of the course. We're going over number 1 today, which is the introductory. The second one is self-development for community building, and this module will be uncovering and helping you express your own values along with really understanding yourself for foundational aspects to create your community. Number 3, the foundational blocks of a thriving community. This is really getting into that glue of the vision and values that you and your group may share. And it's not necessarily easy to understand as we were talking about those assumptions. So if you go through this module, you'll be getting awareness to your most important values and ideals and how to communicate that with each other. You'll also be deepening intimacy that will forge long-lasting relationships. In this 4th module, you'll be going through dreams to action, and we've discovered that a lot of people may be able to understand their own vision and values and get really inspired, but it's really important for you to get that A to Z and understand how to succeed through tangible and practical steps. Number 5, legal structures, community types, and agreements. Through this one, you'll really discover what's next after you want to purchase that property together. After you've had those foundational pieces put together, you'll really be able to understand how to co-own land properly and what type of community you might want to create together in the formation of those agreements. We'll also be offering templates to succeed and how to buy land equally with a group of people. 6, we'll be going over governance and conflict resolution, and this will help you determine what decisions you need to make in your community and ultimately who holds the power. So we'll be overviewing how to distribute power within community through governance structures, what decisions are necessary to make for your forming community, conflict resolution modalities, and very important escalation processes for conflict within community. And we're so excited to also say that Diana Leaf Christian will be featured in this module, and she will be going over the fundamentals of sociocracy. She's a renowned author, and we're really excited to have her on. Number 7 is membership and branding. So you understand the foundational aspects, you even understand how to make decisions, what type of community agreements. You have that core group that is really solidified, but now how do you invite new people in, and how do you have that filter so that you're not inviting people you don't want to have in? And so in this module, we'll be going through those membership models, and we'll also help you construct a membership agreement and integration protocol, as well as identify and form your branding to attract members and investors using things like pitch decks and just keywords to attract new people. The 8th module is a Just Future, and this is also featuring a guest speaker and author, Crystal Bird Farmer. We find that having a just future means that everyone is on board and everyone has a chance at equity and inclusivity. So that's really why we've included the 8th module. How do we attract members and also keep people that are diverse within the community? Successfully find and finance land. This is another amazing module that will be featuring guest speaker Yona Mesritz, who has been a realtor for over 30 years, and he's also helped co-found 2 very successful communities. In this module, Yona will be helping you identify the right piece of land for your community, review financial investment options, navigate debt, and he'll also be talking about attracting and investors. And that will be it. That's the outro, and we'll be talking about next steps and really making sure that you have the actionable steps needed for you to co-create that community of your dreams.
So through the class, we will provide you with many different resources, and one of them is our Eco-Village checklist that we've been working on. And this is really something that we want to give our students a way to follow practical steps. So it's really rewarding when you go through the Eco-Village checklist to see every little checkbox, and as a group be able to say okay, we did that today or this week, and then you go forward. And it will really help you to give you a container and a map to see how you will succeed along the way.
And don't forget, this is an exclusive checklist. This is something you're only going to get if you sign up to our course. This is another one of our resources. This is definitions, and we'd like to go over a few of those with you so that you really have a good picture of what intentional community is and what goes along with community and the Eco-Village movement. So we have here the intentional community meaning, and the website from Directory of Fellowship for Intentional Community establishes intentional communities as pioneers in sustainable living, personal and cultural transformation, and peaceful social evolution. So people really come together to form intentional communities and intentional ways of living. Eco-Village, that's a subsector of intentional communities, and according to Global Eco-Village Network, or the GEN website, an eco-village is an intentional or traditional community using local participatory processes to holistically integrate ecological, economic, social, and cultural dimensions of sustainability in order to regenerate social and natural environments. And so what this really means is integrating the whole and breaking it up into different forms of sustainability so that we can really define our interactions and support to the natural environment. So Federation of Intentional Communities, they are an intentional community base and directory that's really great to use. Federation of Egalitarian Communities, that's slightly different, or it sounds slightly different. It is a union of egalitarian communities that have joined together in common struggle to create a lifestyle based on equality, cooperation, and harmony with the earth. And so what they're really saying is that they are egalitarian, so that they share everything in community equally, and this is another directory or network, and they have many different communities that are only having egalitarian values. This is something like Twin Oaks or Dancing Rabbit. They even have their own healthcare system and community loan fund. These are really awesome providers or benefits. So some different business models that exist are solar proprietorship, cooperative, limited liability corporations, and nonprofits. And this is an excerpt from The Enterprising Eco-Villager. The wording's slightly off since it is more catered for European, since the writer is European, but it is a lot of useful things to understand as you're crafting your agreements. So there's different governance models. We'll go over sociocracy in depth throughout the course. We won't go through all of these different ones, so it's really good for you to understand some of them and different alternatives. Holacracy is something that's slightly different than sociocracy, and it's a system for organizational governance, and it's a lot more business oriented than sociocracy is. N Street consensus, and that's something that Diana Leaf Christian likes to go over a lot, and it's a very specific type of consensus. Nonviolent communication, so that's NVC. It's actually pretty widely known, and a lot of people do practice using this, and it's a form of communication to resolve and transcend conflicts. Movements, so we've went through the Global Eco-Village Network a lot. We really like them because they focus on regions throughout the world, and they really focus on equity, equality, and making sure that eco-villages come in all forms, but so that we can categorize them and be able to get in touch with them. Permaculture, comes from the wording permanent agriculture, and if you haven't heard of it, it's an ideology that can be used as a guide when making major sustainable improvements of all areas of our life. So, and it's also actively used within its own set of principles, techniques, and ethics, and most often applied to growing food and designing landscapes. Time banking, so we've offered a few different type of modalities or systems, and it's really worthwhile to look at if that's something you're interested in. Alternative economics, different types of communities. This is something that was referenced from Starhawk's book Truth or Dare, and the different communities are support groups, task groups, learning groups, and cohabitating or family groups, and these can all be interchangeable or working together, but it's important to understand what type of group is forming and what the intention is. So besides our array of resources, we also have this Mighty Network platform called the Whole Systems Network, Mighty Network, and we offer many topics and ways to interact with a variety of people, many people who are alumni are on the course and still participate on this group, and there's also different coaches, consultants, and other people that are involved with this course in multiple ways and involved in our network that are specifically on this network. It's really awesome to be able to interact as a community. We're also offering coaching throughout the program. This is throughout you taking the self-paced course, and even afterward you can always attend these coaching sessions. They are live via web, and you can they are themed, and they're also Q&A based, so make sure that you look on our calendar and you stay up to date with this network in order to be able to go on those calls and talk to us live. Thank you so much for being a part of the Grounding Your Village course, and we're so excited to be able to bring you this knowledge and these resources so that you can create a practical foundation for your community.
Thank you.